Good afternoon once again to everyone, and a very warm welcome to all of you. Today is not just another event on our calendar. Today, we pause to celebrate 15 years of e-vidyaloka, 15 years of belief that where a child is born should never determine how far they can go. What began as a simple yet powerful idea, volunteers teaching children in rural government schools through technology, has today grown into a movement that spans states, classrooms, and thousands of lives. And on this milestone day, we are deeply honored to also mark the launch of the UN International Year of Volunteering 2026, aligning our journey with a global call to recognize, strengthen, and reimagine volunteering. This event is about people before programs, purpose before participation, and impact before numbers. Thank you all for being part of this moment. To formally welcome us into this celebration, it gives me great pleasure to invite someone who has seen eVidyaloka's journey closely and shaped its values of integrity, empathy, and long term impact. May I invite Mr. Vishwanathan Tyagarajan, member of the Board of Trustees of eVidyaloka, to deliver the welcome address.
Uh, Thank you, Akshay. Yeah, it's indeed a very special day for all of us, and it's an emotional day as well. Right? It's been 15 years we've been on this journey, right? And when we started, I've been with the organization for 14 years plus, so I've been through most of since the beginning. When the founders, Venkat and Satish, set out, uh, the vision was to provide quality education, right, to the underserved children of our country. And I'm very happy that we've never wavered from that vision, right? Of course, the modes, the way that we deliver and how do we reach have been evolving, but the vision remained the same. And we've been at a privilege to be able to continue to serve, right? Interestingly, when we started the organization, the we looked at the child as the beneficiary at the center, and we were trying to deliver the best in class education, right? And the best way, we did a lot of experiments, and we landed on this model saying volunteers are the best way to provide quality education, right? We tried various other models and all that, right? But the beautiful thing that happened over the years was, while the beneficiary is the child, what we also realized is that every volunteer who comes and gets attached to the platform and who actually starts to teach a child, every session that they interact with the child takes something back with them, right? That's the beauty of the journey that the volunteers go through, and I think it's a win-win situation, and it's an emotional journey for the volunteers as they bond with the children year over year, right? So that is what volunteering, that's like such a platform provides, and that's what the volunteering as an action provides back an individual, right? If you look at volunteering is a deeply personal journey, right? People arrive at it when life gives them the time, the skills, and the perspective to give back to the society, right? And in that sense, those who get to volunteer in life are truly privileged and blessed, because a lot of people never get to be in that position because of life situations, right? While many of us have this small thought, but a lot of life situations happen, they don't get to. So whoever get to volunteer is really truly blessed and privileged, right? And if you look at volunteering, is one of the purest form of human interaction or transaction, right? Because volunteers give time freely, right? And they share knowledge openly, right? And they offer care without any expectations, right? So to get to that kind of thinking and able to act in such a manner is truly a privilege and a blessing. And I'm really glad that we are able to attract such volunteers. And I take this opportunity to thank all the volunteers over the last 15 years who have made e-vidyaloka possible. Because as we know, e-vidyaloka's model, the backbone is volunteers, and all the organizations, corporates who participate in bringing their employees as our volunteers, right? So I thank all of them and welcome all of them who is here in this very fantastic day for us, right? And also UN recognizing this as an important way in which the society has to move forward, right? So that also gives us an opportunity to celebrate and also bring forth ideas on how to make volunteerism much more structured, right? So coming to that, so volunteering cannot be an episodic kind of event, right? For example, you cannot just do once one day in a year or a checkbox in a calendar. Oh, I volunteered this year, right? Because true volunteering is a long-term development instrument, right? It's about strengthening people and systems and not creating dependence, right? You just do one activity and then they are craving for the same activity, but you're not coming back, right? It cannot be that way. It has to be a long-term instrument, long-term commitment from the volunteers, right? So because of that, one of the important aspect is how are we going to measure volunteering, right? That has to start evolving, right? Not only by hours contributed, which is a very good lead metrics, but that cannot be the only metric, right? We have to measure the impact through the capacity that has been built through volunteering, right, or skills that has been transferred, and more importantly, the confidence that you have developed in the beneficiary and the ability for them to be able to move forward independently. That's when you can say that you have done true volunteering, right? Because you have now elevated that beneficiary to a next level where they become independent, right? That's very, very key. So now, how do we do that? It's very important to figure out how can be measured all of that, right? And also, as I said, volunteering also gives something deeply meaningful back to the volunteer, right? For many, it becomes a source of identity. In fact, we have heard this so many times from our volunteers. Because of various reasons, people move out of their corporate life. They feel like they don't have an identity, but the moment they start any kind of volunteering, they see that they are being seen, they are being valued as an individual, and they see that they are participating in the building society. So that becomes a clear way in which they form their own identity, and they derive pleasure and joy by doing that, right? So that volunteering has so many fantastic positive aspects of for the person who's involving in volunteering, right? But with that identity, of course, comes responsibility, right? Even though volunteers are giving their time freely and knowledge freely, but they have to take it seriously and respect the people whom they're actually volunteering for. That means they have to prepare well. They cannot just assume that they can just show up and the impact will happen, right? They have to prepare well. They have to understand the context in which they are volunteering and ensuring whatever they're delivering, if it's a lesson, if they are actually teaching someone to do some kind of a skill, it is taught clearly and correctly, because you are trying to make that person to whom you are actually delivering the skill become independent, right? So it cannot be not thought through. They have to come prepared. They have to take it very seriously, right? And interestingly, and what they need is good tools to be able to prepare for that. And given this age of AI can really help this. We do that in our professions today, right? In our corporate life. So which means that we have to empower volunteers to see how to use AI so that they can strengthen their conceptual clarity and then pedagogical quality, right? So which will ensure that volunteers are able to deliver better, all right? So it's very important as organizations like ours to build systems and processes so that we can help volunteers to get better at whatever they want to deliver, right? So it's been a fantastic journey at e-vidyaloka to be able to work with volunteers, and over the years we have seen volunteers who have volunteered with us for 7 8 years continuously, right? That takes a lot of commitment, a lot of conviction, right? And that is what has been driving organizations like ours, and we are hoping that more and more such volunteers will participate with a lot of other organizations who needs that. And that's when I think we'll be able to move forward in the vision that we have for 2047 as Viksit Bharat, right? So with that, I would like to welcome everyone on this fantastic day, celebrating volunteers, and looking forward to hearing from our panel and the keynote speakers. Thank you all. Thank you, Akshay, for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for grounding us in why this journey matters. Volunteering today stands at an important crossroads. Across the world, volunteers are no longer just supporting systems, they are co creators of solutions, custodians of trust, and anchors of resilience. The United Nations Declaration of 2026 as the International Year of Volunteering is a powerful recognition of this shift, and at eVidyaloka, this resonates deeply with who we are. To formally mark and launch this global movement within our ecosystem, I'm delighted to invite Ms. Brinda Purnapragna, CEO of eVidyaloka, to lead the launch of IB by 2026.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. And that was a very motivating address. Vishy, thank you so much for that. It's a delight to welcome all the volunteers. And as everybody in e-vidyaloka echoes, we are because volunteers give us their time. If not for it, we seem incomplete. And all of us say this. Each one of the EVNs, as we are all known as, and 15 years marking this journey, the volunteers given their best efforts to teach the children. And that is what we are here for, to teach the children, to reach and teach, as we always say. So with that said, I formally want to launch or proclaim that we want to launch the International Volunteer Year 2026. And I'd like us to kind of go through now on what really are the programs that we want to do for this year, how we want to make this more engaging, and what really is this year different from the previous years, etc. So I hand it over to Nikita Akshay to take it forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Brinda. Yes, we'll be launching.
Yeah.
With one simple choice: to show up. It is time, skill, and care, freely given, that quietly shapes stronger communities. In education, volunteering does more than teach lessons. It opens doors, builds confidence, and expands possibility. In our classrooms, volunteers bridge distance, bringing quality learning to the most deserving, regardless of geography. As the world comes together to celebrate the International Volunteer Year 2026, we are reminded volunteers are central to progress. Today, we proudly launch a year-long celebration of volunteering, honoring those who teach, support, and believe in every child's potential. Happy International Volunteer Year to all volunteers, driving real change, selflessly, tirelessly. Across the world,
Thank you, Brinda. At eVidyaloka, volunteering has never been about giving time alone. It has always been about building purpose, showing up consistently, and staying long enough to create change that lasts. Our next session brings together voices that represent diverse volunteering journeys, from classrooms to communities, from first-time engagement to long-term commitment. This panel will explore the theme from participation to purpose, how volunteers create lasting impact. I'm delighted to welcome our panelists, Mr. Surendran M. Krishnan, who leads CSR and ESG at CGI, Ms. Sweta Singh, Senior Business Consultant with Tech Mahindra and herself a volunteer teacher with eVidyaloka, Mr. Mandar Chitle, the Operations Lead for HPE's India R&D site, and Ms. Aboli Mahajan, who leads the Outreach, Location and Education for NCR and Kolkata regions at Cognizant. I also welcome our moderator, Mr. Gopal Balasubramanian, President of DPG and DPI Solutions at eVidyaloka. Over to you, sir, for the panel discussion.
Thank you. Thank you, Akshay. And thank you, Vishy and Brinda, for setting the tone for the event. And thank you, my panelists, for the evening. It's a pleasure to be part of this discussion. I'd like to start probably saying I myself volunteer with eVidyaloka. This is my 4th year. And the picture behind me is the class I teach. It's a village near Virudhunagar in Tamil Nadu, right? So it's a very, as Vishy said, it's a personally fulfilling journey. And I think we want to explore here, what it means for each one, and each enterprise comes with its own culture and fabric. I think, right? While volunteering is the ultimate goal, we want to reach the children. But how do you, what are the things you face as challenges, right? How do you garner support? How do you motivate? How do you get people to, get sign up for this? And how do you see their journey, right? What have you learned? And, we'd like to share some of these perspectives. Just wanted to, start by giving each panel member probably a minute in the first round, just to give you overview of, the kind of role and each vision, on volunteering. How do you see volunteering in your enterprise? And how do you, motivate and inspire your employees and associates to contribute to this noble cause actually. So we'll go around the panel. We'll start with probably Aboli, and then go through all the panelists, and that'll be the first round, and then I'll come to the next one. Okay.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, hello everyone. Good evening. I'm Aboli. I represent Cognizant's Volunteering and Social Impact Program outreach. At Cognizant, volunteering is not just an activity; it's a part of who we are. Uh, our program is just built on one belief that meaningful change happens when people brings their skills, empathy, passion, and to the community. And what makes our model so unique is that it is entirely employee lead. When I say entirely employee lead, that means in our organization we never make it mandate to volunteer. There are no KPIs to linked with volunteering activities, and also there is no time off or leave for associate to go out and volunteer. So it's just a purpose driven. So thousands of volunteers contribute every year, leading local and global initiatives that improve learning outcomes, build digital skills, and restore environment and strengthen the community resilience that way. For us, volunteering is not a CSR project. When I say that means outreach has started long back in 2007 when CSR law was not there. So we proudly say it's not a CSR project. It's actually a culture of shared responsibility and shared humanity for us. And largely all the programs like volunteering programs across outreach have divided into 5 focus areas. First focus area is education, where we work with K-12 students to build skill aligned with new national education policy, where volunteers introduce STEM, AI, then concepts of coding to students, helping students bridge the learning gap and gain the confidence and explore the career pathways. Second focus area is skilling, where we mainly work with college students and young professionals, where we are giving them lots of workshops and training on future readiness, and to so that they can enhance their employability. Third focus area is digital empowerment, where our volunteers support NGOs by strengthening their digital capabilities. And how we do that? By providing tech trainings to NGO staff, and also developing tech solution to improve their operational efficiency. Uh, Fourth focus area is environment. In this, we work on ground, do lots of cleanup drives, do it maybe a beach cleanup or public places, a plantation, and lot of more on ground activities. Along with that, we do virtual volunteering for environmental research. And we encourage we encourage and we provide our associates to take action towards environmental protection and climate awareness. So we have lots of trainings for them, and lots of models have been created under this theme. Then last focus area is passion projects, where associates lead them initiatives driven by personal cause. So maybe under this we do lots of one-time activities, I'll say that way, where blood donation drives, disaster relief support, creating teaching aids, translating content, and lots of activities involved in this, fostering empathy, leadership, and community connects that way. In short, outreach represent Cognizant's commitment to structure employee lead impact through these 5 strategic areas. And that's how entirely the outreach work. It's as I said, it's more of a it's more of an individual who are passionate, who want to do and bring change to the society. We are just facilitating that platform to our associates so that that journey of volunteering become easy for them. With that, maybe I'll take a pause. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you, Aboli. For somebody who spent 2 decades in Cognizant, you very nicely summarized the whole essence of outreach and volunteering in 1 minute. Brilliant, actually. Thank you. I think that speaks volumes about the cultural fabric that's been woven into Cognizant, actually. So it's more initiative, employee driven than a program or a mandate. So it's great to know that, and thanks for sharing that so nicely. Next up, I would like to seek Surendran from you. How do you see volunteering from CGI perspective, and what are some of the focus areas or mission you're working on? Thank you.
Sorry. Okay. Thank you, Gopal. Then thank you, Brinda and Vishwanath, for having me here. So one thing I was remembering when Vishwanath was talking is when e-vidyaloka started, which is 15 years back. I still remember in Venkat's house, under the stairs, there was a TV that was put up, and in that TV there was volunteer orientation happening. I was part of that, well, not as a teacher to volunteer, but I similar at the same time when e-vidyaloka started, I also started a volunteer group, and that volunteer group, through the volunteer group, we tried bringing in volunteers for e-vidyaloka, and Venkat was the first one to flash our logo and tell that they are our volunteer partner. I could see how the journey has shaped for past 15 years now, how e-vidyaloka has grown from that stairs with one TV to what e-vidyaloka is today, and I'm also proud that we are a partner, which I've never imagined that it could come to this level, where I was there as a volunteer over there, and then I'm here as a corporate partner as well for e-vidyaloka, which is a great journey, both from volunteering level as well as the partnership level, because I've seen the growth of e-vidyaloka. And thanks for inviting me to be part of this panel. Now, talking about CGI, what we do in volunteering in CGI, we are a Canada-based IT company, and in India, we have the backend operations with 20,000 employees across 5 cities. Volunteering is embedded in the projects for us. We do not have a separate either outreach or employee engagement program. Any CSR project that we take up, currently CGI works with more than 30 nonprofits. Any project that we take up, volunteering is embedded in it. So that's one of our ask as well. While keeping budget or not keeping budget is different, what we ask all the NGO partners is, do you have the opportunity for people to give time? Do not look at volunteering as an event alone as such, but can you bring in opportunities where people can genuinely give their time so that they can contribute more. So we, while numbers and those things are all, we don't have a KPI because we are not a revenue generating unit in the company. Most of us would agree with that. Well, we don't have KPIs, but we do have some targets through which we try to motivate ourselves, because when we set the targets, we are like, okay, at least can we push more people to volunteer, not as a mandatory, but at least can we give that push or create some opportunities. So from that angle, we engage more than 5,000 volunteers per year, and contributing to more than 25,000 hours of volunteering in across different sections of the society, starting with education, where many of our volunteers are with e-vidyaloka volunteering, and we run STEM labs, we do financial literacy programs, so multiple components in education. Then the current focus for the past 2 years is around environment, climate change. So a lot of volunteers are engaged in climate action related projects. It could be starting with basics of plantation drive to lake cleanups to getting into tribal areas, or even supporting wildlife. We have also pitched into animal welfare. Many things around climate change. Then comes the D&I aspect of how do we support persons with disabilities, or the transgender communities. We work under three verticals, which is climate, education, and communities. Communities broadly covers most of it, but climate and education is focused. I'm based out of Bangalore, but we are present in 5 cities. That's in short.
Thank you, Surendran, and so nice of you to bring some nostalgia back to EV on a EV founding day. So what a great way to share your perspective, and it's always so nice to hear from our partners in this journey. And volunteering is an integral part of your teams. That's the key message I took away. It's not a special program or driven by some budget and planning. And great to hear that. We'll come back to the next round to share more insights. And now up next is Sweta. If you could share, your perspective from tech company perspective. How do you see volunteering and being a tech company itself? How do you attract talent to do this, and how do you see some of the ways they engage actually in volunteering?
So thanks, Gopal, and hello, everyone. Very good evening. First of all, thanks to the entire team, and congratulations to the entire team for this bigger milestone. It's a very big milestone to complete 15 years. And I'm very lucky that I am associated with this team from past 1 year. My journey started with e-vidyaloka last year in the month of June. I'll just share one incident that, I have a small daughter. She's 6 years old. She started her schooling proper last year. And I was just in conversation with my husband that, when I was teaching her that, when I started this study journey after almost a gap of 15, 16 years, you take your books, copies, pen, you become a student and you are a mom. So you start going back to your school days that, teaching is so difficult process. It was easy to be a student rather than a teacher. So I was telling my husband that, I wanted to understand, the challenges a student undergoes through. And I wanted to do something for this community out of my 9 to 6 job. I don't want to get paid. I just want to do something out of my will where, I can give some time. I can teach whatever small bits I know. I can share my knowledge. And if that can make somebody's life better, I'm blessed. And that conversation happened somewhere, before the e-vidyaloka's mail came for volunteering activities. And after 1 week, there was a mail in my inbox which was talking about if you want to volunteer for this rural teaching. And I was like, I don't know from where this message was given and how it went, but this mail floated into my inbox. I went to the HR. I said that, I literally want to be associated with this program. And the HR, she told me, Bhakti, she was the HR. She told me that, Shweta, we have many people like you who wants to join this program. So we are fortunate that you guys are coming up and devoting your time. And when I understood the entire process, I realized that, as Vishwa was calling out and many people called out here, that, it is not the thing that you as a volunteer go to the session, give your 30 or 40 minutes and you are done. I guess the thing which differentiates is the purpose. Why are you doing this activity? If you have that purpose clearly defined in your mind and in your heart, you articulate that very well in your session, in your 30 or 40-minute session, which you're giving to your students. So that is one thing which I guess, in our organization, when they do all such CSR initiatives, be it a community initiative or anything as such, they want to make sure that any person who is showing up for this volunteering activities, they are doing by their wish, not something as a pressure, not as a KPI, not something to be judged upon. Because when you do something out of your wish, out of your 9 to 6, you give more than what is expected from you. So you start going out, searching for resources, how to deliver the best in those 30 or 40 minutes, so that, people look forward for the next session with you. So that is one thing which I feel that in any CSR initiative, be it education, be it community health, be it elderly people health, planting things, it should be driven by a purpose. You should have something in your heart that this is what I want to have a goal. And that is what TechM makes sure that all the associates, they are taking up the CSR initiative, they have a purpose with them. And they make sure that, when you are taking up, you are again coming back that I want to try something more. I want to do something more. I want to deliver something more. So that is the main logo of TechM when they are going for all these CSR initiatives. So thanks to eVidyaloka, I would say that, they are reaching out to all these corporates, and they're trying to bridge the gap between the supplier or the provider and the person who wants to take this. So the giver and the takers, I would say kudos to the entire team. Thanks for bridging this gap and keep up the good work.
Thank you, Sweta. So nicely put. And it's
Thank you.
inspiring to see purpose drives participation, actually, right? You anchor in the purpose, things follow through. Very nice message. And thank you for sharing that personal story of yours. Now, I'd like to ask Mandar, from your perspective, in HPE, it's not new to volunteering, but it's probably a much global and many decades. I've seen various avatars of this, and would like to hear from you. How do you see volunteering, and in this context of education? If you could throw some light, it will be very valuable for us. Thank you.
So thanks, Gopal, and I think the fellow panelists have really enlightened people out here. Again, I want to start with congratulating you guys for 15 wonderful years that you have brought volunteering to life, right? So coming back to my company, right? So a few things. So we, as I think most of the people are saying, it has to be culture, right? Yeah. So for HPE also, as a global organization, we have a culture blueprint, and one of the tenets of that culture blueprint is being force for good. So essentially, what it tries to do is solve for humanity with humanity, and essentially try to ensure that we care for people, we care for our planet, and we try to ensure that we make it a little bit easier for fellow citizens, right? So that's what we go ahead with. And again, no KPIs from a perspective of, am I getting tracked or are people getting tracked? No, as most of the panelists were saying. At the same time, we do encourage people. So for every hour that they contribute, I think company donates, or company gives them an opportunity to donate, which obviously company will do, but the company creates so you can actually record it, and then company allows that. At the same time, how do we work? Typically, the way it has worked for us, particularly in the education sector, is help where we can. So as a tech company, we probably, and it's just not tech. We also have a non-tech talent out here. So a lot of operations get done through the local sites. Right? So we try to bring in both the tech as well as the non-tech skills. And so tech skills can be, it can be as simple as, going and teaching someone maybe basic computer skills. It can be, going and teaching maths and science. And that's what some of our volunteers do, go teach in the government school. So we do have an MOU with government of Karnataka's, the RDPR, the Rural Development and Panchayat Raj Department. So we work with some of the schools there. Then obviously another opportunity was when we tied up with you guys on saying, can we enable people sitting at their home and volunteering for some of the tech skills as well as, but then we also enable non-tech. But beyond that, we also have also work with some of the nonprofits on, say, some of the mentoring opportunities. And because we see opportunity there, for example, you are enrolled into a tech course, and then what next? How should I chart out my career and so on? Because there are opportunities everywhere. I think India is full of opportunities that way. And so that's how we do it. And how do we go about doing it? So at least at the India level, at the Bangalore level, we do have a core team where we decide which areas we want to focus in. Then we start working with non-profits, then we also start marshalling our resources to ensure that instead of doing 10 different things, you actually do two, but then you probably do those two properly. So those are the things which I would call out that we have been focused on as a corporate, both at the global level as well as at the local level. Thank you.
Thank you, Manda, for bringing that perspective. I think we also talked about not just education, but skilling and career guidance also as the next logical step in the value chain. So it's very nice to know. At this point, I think we've all heard about different volunteering perspectives and journeys on all these enterprises. The one thing that keeps emerging is, how do we sustain this? I think that's the key, right? How do you sustain this motivation for volunteers? And how do you sustain they being the inspiration for the children, right? I'm now focusing more on education now. I know we have heard multiple topics that your enterprises focus on. But when it comes to education, I think in even the e-Vidya model, somebody highlighted, it's not a transaction. It's not a weekend activity. You go score something, and it's not an activity, right? So it is more driven by purpose and culture, and you develop a bond with the classroom you teach, and you engage for a period of time, so you know the students by name, and they you inspire them, they motivate you. There's a continuous exchange of this higher order feeling, and I think that's very, very important. In this scenario, how do you keep this sustenance going, right? How do you make sure the volunteers are signing up every year, they stay signed up, right? I know everybody has a life journey, as Rishi said, but how do you keep that coming, right? How do you new employees, it becomes a talent magnet, maybe younger employees join with the purpose. So, you go to the campuses, you talk about this, maybe it's a purpose. So this round, I would like to focus more on education, zooming in, and how do you sustain this kind of purpose-driven volunteering so we can do more of it, right? Because employees have their life cycle and they move around, and how do you sustain this great thing that's going on? So with this round, I would like to start with Surinder, probably with you, and then go around in a different order just to give a perspective. Thank you.
Thank you, Gopal. Yeah, as you said, it is purpose led. Now, how do we first bring people to this purpose led volunteering? Say there are people, as you said, education is not a one time activity. You need commitment to volunteer here, but then to bring people to the commitment level, you need to at least give them some taste of what volunteering means. So how we see it here is we have mix of volunteering opportunities. It's not just one. So we try to push, or we try to give them first level of exposure that, okay, you need not commit right away that, okay, next 3 months, 6 months that I will teach. Maybe there are exceptional volunteers who start their journey directly with education, and they're like, I'm next 1 year, I'm committed, I will volunteer. But that percentage is very low. The majority of the percentage is like, I want to do something, I want to do it now. Do you have an opportunity? But I cannot commit anything I cannot commit even for the next 1 month, but I am interested now. So this is where we try to bring in the purpose by giving them exposure. First, okay, you come volunteer for a short term. You come see, you experience it. It could be one time either storytelling session, or you one time interact with the student, or you come see where the other volunteer is teaching. So short level exposure leading to long term commitment is how we try to approach. So we have a lot of one time volunteering events or volunteering activities across to give them that exposure, because if you give 100 people the one time exposure, you hardly get 10 of them who could come next time, or who will continue the next time. So sourcing or retaining, sourcing volunteers is that way of giving them exposure. How do we retain volunteers is to show the impact of what they are doing. Okay, I'm teaching here, the students are smiling, the students understood it well. But beyond that, can we also give some data to the volunteer that, okay, you taught this one, and at the back end we have some data to tell you that what sort of impact that you made. So that responsibility lies either with the CSR team or the NGO to showcase what sort of impact that the volunteer has made. That leads to continue in volunteering. So the long-term volunteering, or the people are going to stay back in volunteering when they see the impact. Is my time valued there? Is whatever time I've given, is has someone benefited out of it? While direct benefit I could see, but still there could be something substantial proving that this is really impacting. So that matters, where we try to bring in from our side, and we also try to take the NGO's help and showcase it. Now, after these two things are done, uh, how do you sustain volunteers is also to some way recognize them. I know volunteers do not do this for recognition. We are very much against recognition or certificate and those things, but still, recognition is matters when people don't expect it. So for people who are expecting recognition and doing, that's a different level. But people who have come genuinely, I am not here for recognition, but still somewhere you recognize them and see it adds to the mileage. It is an extra mileage to sustain that volunteer who did not come for recognition still being recognized. So that is another form that we see to keep the volunteers going. So yeah.
Very nice, very nice. So you give them the taste of experience to attract, and then you give them, show back some metrics impact to sustain, and you recognize them so other gets inspired. So brilliant, brilliant. Thank you. Over to Mandar now. How do you see the focus on education, right, in this context of attracting, sustaining, and inspiring volunteers? It's a continuous journey. So how do you see that from your perspective, from your enterprise or even personally? Your experience. So
Yeah, so thanks for that. So yeah, one quick thing, as Surendra was saying, right? So one is you need to attract, right? And for some, for what happens is, if you are doing some initiative for years, right? Then one thing which happens well is that you have a set of people who have tasted success, or who at least know what works and what doesn't. So yeah, we do some of that. So that is one way. For example, when we are working with, say, government schools, right? So we have been doing this for years now. So we know what is working. So some of these guys come and talk. We also ensure that we identify someone whom they can reach out to, right? So that is one. The second way to attract is, for example, if you are launching a campaign and you want volunteers, then one thing we do is we also brief volunteers on what it would look like. Because sometimes what happens is people sign up thinking it would work in a particular way. And when we brief them, they probably understand that maybe it's the way, or this is not the way they like, right? Which is okay. It's okay to sometimes, drop off, but at least whoever stays on, they understand what they're signing up for. So sometimes we just load some of these things upfront, so that there are no surprises later. Also, we try to ensure that people understand what kind of conditions they will get into. Just to say, hey, I've come to office, I have an AC on. It's a very ideal environment to be in, versus when you go to a school where maybe a lot of things are not working out, or maybe a lot of things are not working the way they would love it to work, right? Then we just ensure that they understand those things. They understand that they will have to go through those hoops and maybe make it happen, right? And what we have seen is that when we are upfront, then there are at least whoever stays, they're better committed, and we see success with that. So I think those are the things to attract and then ensure that the success there. And obviously, we also don't focus on giving certificates and all. But one thing that I alluded in my past discussion was that, as the company, we acknowledge that if you have done something, I will put equivalent dollars aside to acknowledge you. One. Second, at local level, we do some subtle thing, not like a certificate, but then call them for a small event and all. But that's what we end up doing. So engage, enable, and eventually recognize. So that's how we go about doing things.
Super. Engage, enable, recognize. Nice way to summarize. Sweta, how do you see this from an educational context? Sustaining and attracting volunteering. Okay. We talked about purpose, but how do you do this more? How do you do more of?
So what I feel that, Gopal, there are two pieces to this. Like, first is retaining the talent who are in this journey. And second is how do you attract fresh people or fresh talent to be with us in this journey. So two different pieces I would like to say. One thing which, with my experience, I have heard, because we had some chapter meetups where we have interacted with other volunteers, and what we have heard, one thing, the teachers, from the teacher's point of view, if you think that when you enter a classroom, what motivates the teacher or the volunteers when they are coming with a purpose, as we are calling it out every time, is the audience you see in front of you. When the camera is turned on, you see the students, you see the attraction or the curiosity in their eyes. The students who turn up in the session, if the students are not motivated to be part of that session, and if they are not turning up in the classes, that is one thing which demotivates the person who is volunteering. So that is one thing which I have seen, that because of which there are few people who drops out, because they don't feel motivated, they don't have the urge. Maybe it can be a gap between their teaching methodology, that the student is not able to get interest in that, and hence they drop out. So that is one thing where the existing teachers, they get demotivated, and after some point of time they drop out, that I'm not motivated, students are not taking interest. That is one thing where we need to have some mechanism by which the interest can be developed at both the sides, both the parties. So that is one thing. And when it comes to attracting talents, or attracting fresh people to this journey, I guess in Tech Mahindra, or even as an individual, I do that. I share my journey, my success journey, my motivational journey with peers around me. So when you start sharing these stories with people around you, they start thinking over it, that what is this journey about? Let me just try it out. So when you try to set these stories or share these stories with them, you need to tell them the positive things about this entire journey. And that is how, and as Surendra was mentioning, that you need to have a short term targets rather than defining a long term targets, that you start devoting 30 minutes every 2 days in a week for 1 year. That might not be possible for some people who are in this journey for the first time. So we can have some short term targets, call them for in-person classes, in-person volunteering activities. So those are the things which I feel that which might attract the fresh talents in this journey.
Thank you. You brought a very nice point. I think celebrating success, as well as the corporate chronicles, as we call it, right? The stories moving around, saying, hey, how good it is, or what somebody's experienced. I think that's a very nice way to percolate in the corporate ecosystem. And I think it's a brilliant point you brought. I'm just mindful of time. I would like to now put all of you in a magical seat, if you may. It's not a hot seat, and it's not a rapid fire. I'll give you each a few seconds. And before we go into the round, I've seen a question from Mr. Vikas Baba. Any one of you free to pick it up? It's about, at what time do you show volunteering impact? Especially in education, it takes time to build the impact and show it, right, in all its grand glory. But at what time do you show back, or what are some of the things you can give early on so they stay engaged or motivated? I hope I got the question right, because any of you are free to pick that up, and then we'll go to the magical round, and we'll conclude in a minute or so. Yes.
Right. I did reply to that.
Yeah, I saw your replies. Yes. Thank you for that. But for the benefit of the other people who joined, you could speak a
Sure,
little
sure,
about.
definitely. See, well, definitely impact takes time, and we have some measurements. So there is always this confusion between what is impact. Okay, how do you tell that this is impacted with such a short time, with one instance of volunteering or a couple of instances of volunteering? Is that really an impactful? So there is always that confusion. While impact takes time, there is always this outcome and stories from the field which inspires people. So that is what for volunteering we should focus on, to keep them sustained is, can they connect to the cause more? Can they connect to the cause, telling that, okay, I volunteered here, I left, but then there is something else happening on field. Who is trying to bring that to the volunteer? uh, that can only be done by the organizations or those who are working closely with the beneficiaries. Volunteers might move out after teaching, but the teachers are going to stay, the school is going to stay, the organization is going to stay. Bringing that on field stories of, you came here, you left, but you know what happened here after you left, that stories matter for a volunteer to come back. So that's what I meant. That could happen even with the first one or two
First,
instance also, or it could be from 6 months, 1 year, it could be any point.
Very nice.
thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that one. Now, back to that magical moment, and you can go in any order you want. If you had a magical wand, in like a Harry Potter world, it could fulfill any one wish of yours in the context of education, volunteering, and with Siddh Bharat. What wish would you like to get fulfilled? Mandar, maybe we start with you.
Yeah, but actually, I would require two wishes. Okay, so one is that wish we are able to convert more volunteers from who signed up. That is one. Second, I believe it is more visual in terms of tech. I think we should have better tech to enable better education, because I think we need to have tech which is compatible to what Bharat wants, right? Instead of a tech which probably will work in US, I think so, or maybe in Western countries. So I think that's what my wish would be.
Super. Thank you. Aboli?
So maybe I wish for a world where opportunities are not determined by the birth. It should have regardless of gender, regardless of background, and uh, maybe financial conditions, regardless of all those things. If we can create a world where everybody getting a equal opportunity, that will be the my wish, to be a world like that.
Awesome. Splendid.
Sure. So since I represent corporate, I'll keep it restricted to the corporate with the magic wand. Can each volunteering hour be treated as a business hour? Can we have the scenario where volunteering hour is valued? Can the management recognize the volunteering hour of every hour that a volunteer from a corporate is putting, either to uplift the community in any way, rather than seeing it as a waste of time? Or there are always management seeing that, okay, you have extra time to go out on field and volunteer, then why don't you work on this project extra in the weekend as well? So I would see, how do we change this perspective of, if a person is available to volunteer in the weekend, doesn't mean that the person is available to work. The volunteering is something that satisfies their soul, which has to be valued, which has to be respected, and not to be seen as something that they are going out on field just to spend time or waste time. So I would try to change that perspective.
Super. Sweta?
Yeah. So for me, I would say, I wish, a quality education is made available to each child, irrespective of their PIN codes. So that is one thing which I feel that, when I get to volunteer for these rural kids, they have the same desires, they have the same curiosity, they have the same wishes, and they are equally talented. So why they are getting devoid of all those ample opportunities which a child studying in the urban areas is getting? maybe they lack that support, that mentors, that resources, because of some financial boundaries, because of some pin codes and all. I guess if we can abolish this and make quality education for each and every individual at a very minimal cost.
Oh, thank you. Wow. I've just realized, Manda talked about technology being an enabler. Aboli talked about equitable access. And Sweta talked about quality education. And Surendra talked about fulfillment, final impact. You couldn't have summarized e-vidyaloka's vision. It's such a nice, 4 different, completely random wishes. And I think it's just, I would say the cosmic force would have acted so nicely falling in place. So thank you so much for all the panelists for your very valuable insight. And I think I really enjoyed the session. Hopefully, it gave enough insights for others as well. Back to you, Akshay.
Thank you, sir. And thank you to our panelists for those honest, grounded, and inspiring reflections. What stands out clearly is this: volunteering is no longer a side story. It is central to the future, it is central to nation building. And to deepen this perspective, we now move on to our keynote address. Mr. Vikas Bagga, our keynote speaker, is the Chief Executive Officer of the Indian Corporate Volunteering Association, ICVA, and a respected voice in the CSR and volunteering ecosystem in India. With over 3 decades of leadership experience across banking, payments, and insurance, he has consistently worked at the intersection of business strategy and social impact. At ICVA, Mr. Vikas leads national efforts to institutionalize purpose-driven corporate volunteering, enabling companies to meaningfully engage employees in addressing development challenges. His work focuses on building strong cross-sector partnerships and embedding volunteering as a core pillar of ESG and people engagement strategies. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Vikas Bagga. Sir, I request you to kindly address the gathering.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Akshay, for the introduction. Even I didn't know I did so many things. I am a small man in the whole thing. I will just quickly give a brief on myself. I've been in banking for 33 years, but I started my volunteering journey with an organization called Literacy India by teaching on the weekends at their centers. So typically they get migrant children to come into their center, study, and then they educate them, get them to a level and admit them in schools, post which the children could keep coming back to the center for additional education. So I used to teach on weekends. It was a personal time off. I hadn't heard of voluntary time off in organizations till then. So my journey started from there, and then I started my own NGO also. So we currently run an NGO called Pehla Akshar, which is doing education for underprivileged children in Gurgaon. We've got 3 centers here with about 150 children, and these are essentially never at school children who are studying with us, and or very early dropouts. And we start from the age 3, which is where the ECE starts off. I was in the corporate world, but in 24, I quit my job at American Express, where I'd worked for 11 years, to get full-time into social sector. And my journey started from there, did some projects with Uday and Charmi Care, then worked with WWF on their environmental education. And then I took up this latest assignment with ICVA as the CEO. So I would, like to take this opportunity to first, congratulate e-vidyaloka team on this, event that you organized, and the 26th year being declared as the year of volunteering. Volunteering is an important integral part of it, and I've seen it firsthand over my last 11 years of experience in social sector, specifically working in education. Challenges that I faced as a small organization, I saw in larger organizations when I did project work with Udayan, and with a much larger organization like WWF, which is a global organization also, in terms of volunteering and how it works. So unfortunately, volunteering by and large has been episodic. It has not been a very planned, structured kind of a thing which has happened, and which was something that I saw as a challenge within our small organization also. And volunteers typically come in, and unfortunately, it ends up disturbing the day-to-day functioning of an organization more than aiding it, unless it is done in a proper, structured, organized manner. So while entry level, like Surendran mentioned, get them in, get them to get their feet wet, interact with children and so on and so forth and go out. But my personal experience has been out of 150 odd volunteers that I've tried to work with, only 3 have stuck around. Rest has been a lot of expense and managing their expectations and trying to work on that. So, to my mind, it is a core development lever for the development sector, which is where the volunteers come in, and eVidyaloka and a lot of other organizations are also doing good work. And that was essentially one big reason why I also moved to ICBA, because I personally feel people like all of us who are working in corporates are the privileged ones who've had good quality education, good exposure, and are working in the corporate world at reasonably good levels and they have a good voice. They have agency. They can make a difference genuinely if they are guided in the right direction. So, the intent is there, but institutionalizing this whole strength is what is required. And that's something that we need to do, because if we institutionalize it, we are, and specifically for education, which is long term. I mean, you can't just go and teach a kid for a week, a month, or 3 months and come back and say you made a difference. You need to be at it continuously. You have to work with the children and ensure that you are making a difference. And it has to be depth driven. It can't be reach driven. So the quality of interventions that happen from volunteers becomes extremely important. So helping build this critical element of volunteering, which is coming through the 70,000 strong volunteers which are there at e-vidyaloka, I think is a phenomenal job in that direction. Is that enough? Probably not, because we have challenges which are humongous in terms of specifically education in our country. The numbers are mind-boggling when you look at the number of children who are at school and getting poor education, and children who are not at school, and children who have dropped out, and children who have been never at school. So I always, mention that there is no need to talk numbers. The numbers are so big, it doesn't really matter. And volunteering, 70,000 is a good beginning, but we need to probably get to 700,000 and 7 million volunteers coming in to make a difference. But it's a start, and it's a very good journey that e-vidyaloka has had over last 15 years. So, and this, continued engagement in volunteering is something that has a compounding effect. It builds on itself, like Shweta mentioned, and some of the other panelists mentioned. You have to taste it, get some successes, talk about success stories within your circle, and kind of leave an impression on the other people, so they are also motivated to come in and join on this journey, which is very, very important for us. So continuity improves the learning outcomes also. If you've got volunteers who are working with you and they stay on for longer, their ability to understand the dynamics, the challenges of the children that they are working with, or the students they are working with, they understand much better, and their efficiencies go up, and they are able to be more productive with these children. So that's also something which is extremely critical, which again, eVidyaloka is doing an excellent job of building over a period of time. The other critical thing which I really like about eVidyaloka's model and what we need to do is clearly to work with the government institutions. We cannot, all the NGOs in our country put together, and all of us who want to do some good cannot make the kind of investments that the government is making. So if the government spends about 100 lakh crores on purely education, all NPOs put together would not even be a 1%. So the idea of working with the government, aligning with them on the priorities, and taking them along, and using their infrastructure, their setup to make it more efficient, is the most ideal and effective way in which one can move forward. And that's again something which is being done fantastically over here. I am a big follower of Mr. Ashish, the one who runs the Convergence Foundation, and I heard him, and he's been one influencer for me. He says that we can never be the main actors in the whole movie. The main actor is the government. We just have to be the sidekicks to the government, but play a good role, because sidekicks also make movies hit. They also get successes because of the part they play in the entire story which is being played out over there. So we shouldn't take our part as a small part. I think it's an integral part of the whole ecosystem, and working with the government is going to be one of the most effective ways to do it. And when you are working with the government is when you can bring about change with them also. You can influence them in terms of the methodology, the pedagogy, the processes that you are using, and the monitoring mechanisms that you put in will only happen if you work with the government and not anti-government. So you can keep talking about the bad shape of the Indian education system and go and do your own thing, something that I do honestly right now. But that's not the best way to do it. The best way is to work with the government. I personally also tried it, trying to take over running of two government schools in Haryana. Unfortunately, there are other challenges that keep coming up, so one had to give up. But I firmly believe that's a step in the right direction, because that is something which will bring about a systemic change. It will be replicable and it will be sustainable. Individually we are doing it. We may have a life of our organization or the founders who are there. Maybe people will come over and take it over also. But it's best if we work with the government to build the whole ecosystem. That's extremely important. And the other important part, which I feel in this whole volunteering process and people getting involved with the ecosystem and working with their respective areas of passion. Somebody could be passionate about education, health, or other things, while we are here focused on education. If you work, with data to see what kind of outcomes are happening, and I got some of inputs from Surendran, Sweta, and some other people who are on the panel in terms of what could be the quick impact items that one could look at to see whether things are working or not working. And basis that, you are encouraged to do more, and obviously keep improvising and improving upon the assessment matrices you follow for measuring the the activity done and the impact that is giving and what is the outcome that is coming. So it's extremely critical to be doing that. There could be early parameters, like somebody also mentioned on the chat, attendance levels, attention of a student in the class, how the student is dressing up and coming to the class. Is he clean, bathed and washed, and comes, or they are lackadaisical and just land up. So those are early indicators which one can look at to see whether you are making a difference to the whole ecosystem or not. And so that's something that we need to be really working seriously with. And volunteering, I'll just briefly talk about what we are trying to do in ICVA, because there are a lot of people who could be prospective members also for us, or could help build the ecosystem on volunteering in corporate world, which I feel is a large opportunity area where we can work. Is that one is that we do it for the service user, who we call beneficiary, but some of us have stopped to call the end user a beneficiary now, because it kind of has top-down kind of a approach. So the social impact will be there from the education that we are doing for the children. But what is also happening, and I'm sure Surendran and Sweta and Mandeji and everybody here would agree with me, that there is a huge impact that happens on the individual from volunteering. Their personal development happens, their leadership skills develop, their interpersonal skills develop, their empathy levels go up, they become more patient, and I think overall they become well-rounded people to work more effectively within organizations also. So which is something which even e-vidyaloka can use in their pitch when you talk to volunteers or talk to corporates which send volunteers to you to be directed for the education, that it is in the end impacting the person who's doing volunteering also. And I was talking to somebody who's been in this industry from I Volunteer, Aarti is there. She mentioned to me, and a very powerful thing she said to me is that let's not look at it from the perspective of what the beneficiary is getting. Let us look at it from the perspective of what the volunteer is getting out of all of this. If that's the mindset that comes in and people start to appreciate what they are getting out of it, I think the engagement levels will move to an altogether different level. And it's not only about personal benefit as development as a leader or interpersonal skills. It's about developing as a human being. My family tells me I've changed a lot over the last 11 years, ever since I started volunteering and I started my NGO. I've become far more patient, less temperamental, and more understanding. Empathy levels have gone up. So it improves individuals also in a big way. And all of that leads to an impact for the organization that all of these employees are working in terms of their retention level, their engagement with the organization, their connectivity with the brand, and therefore these people also become far more productive and effective people. And are more likely to take on leadership roles within the organization because of this whole development happening. So I think the whole ecosystem is getting developed and is progressing, and hopefully, like Mandarji mentioned, technology is an integral part of this whole thing and is going to be a very important aspect in terms of scaling and scalability of whatever efforts we are putting in, which is again something which e-vidyaloka has been working with, and can have a significant delta in terms of the impact that it can make and the number of children that it can impact. So all of that is, I think, things in the right direction. There is a structured approach, there is a sustained approach, and there is a system-aligned approach working with the governments that eVidyaloka is following, which is very, very encouraging. And I think all of us have a lot to learn from that. And I congratulate all of you, Gopal and Vrinda and everybody in your team. I don't know too many people as yet, but I'd love to interact on great work that all of you are doing. And this is something very close to my heart, and I feel I am all my best wishes with you, and I am looking forward to partnering also wherever we can with you to make this whole ecosystem grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vikas, for reminding us that the future of impact lies in how intentionally we design participation today. Structured volunteering platforms can indeed amplify outcomes, especially in education and in underserved contexts. Thank you once again for those very insightful thoughts. Dear friends, if data tells us what we have achieved, stories tell us why it matters. So our next segment brings us to the heart of e-vidyaloka, our volunteers. We'll begin with a short video capturing real journeys, real classrooms, and real transformations. Following that, we'll hear directly from someone who embodies the spirit of volunteering-led change. May I invite you all to watch Voices from the Volunteers, A Journey of Impact.
To quote the words of Sri Aurobindo, village is the cell of the national body, and the cell life must be healthy for the national body to be healthy and developed. To put forth in plain words, teaching these kids has given immense gratification. I am just a little drop in the making of a mighty ocean. I am able to experience every other kid's fresh mind and intellect, which is open to receive and process input. We have to try and extract the best out of them and help them to turn into better citizens to face the world.
I've been enjoying my time here at e-vidyaloka from day one. Teaching maths, watching moral stories with children, and every small interaction with these kids gives me immense pleasure. I also get to learn a lot from their innocence and a lot of curious questions. I hope not only to help these children to get better at maths, but also help them to strengthen their good values and morals.
Excellent students, great passion, especially the girls. I'm amazed the way the rural girls respond to the teaching that we have. I was teaching AI, and I did a case study based teaching, wherein I got the students to do a lot of extracurricular activities. They prepared charts, they prepared skits. We had a small drama being done by them. They sung songs, they wrote poetry, all on AI, and that was a wonderful experience, and definitely looking forward to many more such opportunities.
I want to thank whole e-vidyaloka family for giving me this opportunity to teach those bright and young minds of government school students, because I even have been schooling in a government school till 10th standard. I know the students and the infrastructure or the teaching levels of those villages. So I just want to impart my knowledge to all the students or all the child, so that they can also grow in their future and find their own dreams.
ಎಲ್ರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ನಾನು ಇದು 2ನೇ ವರ್ಷ ನಂದು ಈ ವಿದ್ಯಾಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ. ಮೊದಲನೇ ವರ್ಷ ನಾನು ಇಂಗ್ಲೀಷ್ ಕಲಿಸಿದೆ. ಈಗ ನಾನು ವಿಜ್ಞಾನ ಕಲಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀನಿ. ಹೊಸ ಅಂಕ ಸಮುದ್ರ. ಆ ಊರು ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತಲೇ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. ನಾವು ಮ್ಯಾಪಲ್ಲೆಲ್ಲ ಹುಡುಕಿ ಎಲ್ಲಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಂಡ್ವಿ. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ತುಂಬ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
ಈ Initially, I started teaching against a curriculum when I took up 5th standard or 6th standard teaching, and slowly I realized that even a 7th standard student is not to the level of a 2nd standard student. So I had to put aside the curriculum and work with these children to gain the basic knowledge. I have taught English, I have taught maths. These were the 2 subjects that I have addressed. And initially it is to build up their confidence that they can do something, to improve the attendance in classrooms, to enthuse the students to come and attend. And these are all the things that can be done over time with a lot of love and affection.
Thank you. I now invite Ms. Radhika Loka, who brings over 20 years of corporate experience and has been associated with e-vidyaloka as a volunteer teacher since 2017. Over the last 3 years, she has been actively volunteering, teaching English language and grammar to grade 5 and grade 8 students in Maharashtra board schools. She has taught across multiple centers and is currently teaching at Sri Vishwanath Baba High School in the Nagpur district, Maharashtra, contributing meaningfully to improving language foundations among these rural students. I request you to share your thoughts, Ms. Radhika.
Thank you so much, Akshay. And thank you, eVidyaloka, for having me on this. In very short, I would try to end this. I have been associated, like Akshay has said, from 2017, but actively doing for the past 3 years. And I immensely enjoy volunteering. I had taken this up as a CSR initiative when I was with IBM. I retired and then I continued. I started searching for my own identity, as some of the panelists have mentioned, and found e-vidyaloka to be the closest to my passion and how I could actually deliver what I have and I want to. So as a volunteer teacher, I genuinely enjoy teaching in an online environment and continuously explore new ways to make learning interesting, engaging, and enjoyable for my students. I consciously design my classrooms, encourage participation and curiosity. I follow a structured yet flexible approach to teaching. I assign regular homeworks, revise the previous lessons at the beginning of each class, and then build on the foundation of introducing new topics. To maintain alignment with the classroom teaching, I coordinate with classroom assistants to arrange discussions with the in-school teacher, English teacher. This helps me sync with my grammar lessons with what students are learning in school and making the learning experience more cohesive and relevant. I follow the eVidyaloka course curriculum and create detailed lesson plans, which I use as a guiding framework to ensure consistency, progression, and measurable learning outcomes for my students. I thoroughly enjoy volunteering with eVidyaloka, and I'm looking forward to more and more years of doing this. Thank you so much, eVidyaloka.
Thank you, Ms. Radhika, and thanks to all the volunteers who shared their journeys. Stories like yours remind us that impact is built quietly, consistently, and collectively. As we celebrate 15 years of eVidyaloka and step into the International Year of Volunteering, the question before us is not what we have done, but what more is possible together. To outline the way forward and formally close today's event, I invite my colleague Ms. Nikita Madan, the Head of Volunteer Relations Management at eVidyaloka, to share the closing reflections. Over to you, Nikita.
Akshay. Thank you for those inspiring voices and reflections. They beautifully remind us why volunteering matters. As we launch IVY today, one thing is clear. This is not one-day event. This is a year-long journey where intention turns into meaningful last impact. In the months ahead, there will be many ways to participate, connecting with students, contributing your skills, building communities, and inviting many more people into volunteering journey. There is space for everyone and every contribution counts. What makes volunteering truly powerful is not how much we do, but how consistently we show up. Even small actions, when driven by purpose, can create lasting change. I would like to sincerely thank our speakers, panelists, leadership team, and partners for their time and commitment. Most importantly, my heartfelt gratitude to our volunteers, past, present, and future. Every class you teach, every student you support, every moment you give truly matters. Let this IVY 2026 be the year we volunteer with deeper purpose and stronger connections. Because when we show up with purpose, we don't just change lives, we create future worth believing in. Thank you and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Nikita. On this joyous occasion, we have one more milestone to share with our avian community. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly welcome Arunachal Pradesh to the e-vidyaloka map as the 18th state of our operations today. Our program has just commenced in the Government Girls' School at Pasighat in Arunachal Pradesh, East Siang district. This expansion is more than a new geography. It is a renewed promise to drive accessibility, equity, and grassroots transformation through quality online education. Dear friends, on behalf of e-vidyaloka, I once again thank you all for being part of this journey, past, present, and future. Here's to 15 years of purpose and to a world where volunteering continues to change lives one class at a time. Thank you and have a wonderful evening ahead. Jai Hind.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
And heartiest congratulations to you with the Loka team.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Many congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Good day.
Bye-bye.